Welcome back to Tech Talk Shorts. Today, I am tackling something at the very heart of how organizations are run. It is something that is increasingly misunderstood, misapplied, and frankly, it's exhausting the people responsible for it. I'm talking about governance. Point one, theory versus practice. Let's be honest about what governance has become in many organizations. For years, regulators watched boards simply describe their internal governance structures without any evidence of how effective they actually were. The UK's Financial Reporting Council finally said enough. They officially labeled this boilerplate reporting and completely rejected it. Now they are demanding actual outcomes, not just process-driven compliance. In other words, the era of ticking a box and calling it governance is officially over. Point two, framework fatigue. And here is where it gets complicated. Global enterprises today face overlapping requirements from dozens of regulatory agencies simultaneously, navigating different frameworks across multiple jurisdictions, creating administrative overhead that can overwhelm even the most well-resourced compliance teams. The sustainability agenda alone has reached a visible point of fatigue, with growing calls for policymakers to take greater responsibility for managing these obligations, rather than placing the entire burden on corporations. The honest question the industry must ask is this: when compliance becomes the mission, who is left to focus on actual governance? Point three, the conflict no one wants to name, which brings us to the most uncomfortable truth in governance today. Audit is about challenge, while advisory is about support. The conflict between fulfilling a legally independent role and a commercially supportive one is not theoretical. It is built into the business model of the firms performing both. All four of the largest professional services firms have paid fines to the SEC since 2014 to settle auditor independence violations. And yet, the tide of advisory revenues continues to rise. So where does this leave us? Frameworks need to be consolidated, not multiplied. The organizations that will lead in the next decade are not the ones with the most frameworks on the wall. They are the ones with the clearest principles in the room. That is all for today's episode of Tech Talk Shorts. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay active, keep learning, and dream big. Goodbye.